Welcome back, everyone. Oz here, and today I've got some r/am I the asshole for you all. As per usual, I'll be reading the post, giving you my thoughts and opinions, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. Throwaway 35, 68, 47, 69, 85. Am I the asshole? My parents are forcing me to pay for my brother's grad school using money they never told me about. 30 female. I've been financially independent since graduating college. I worked practically full-time while studying. Recently paid off my student loans on my own, and just started saving to buy a home. I didn't apply to grad school because I couldn't afford it, and my parents made it pretty clear growing up that we needed to stand on our own after high school. My brother, 22 male, is honestly a genius. He worked really hard in school, got a full academic ride to a great state school, and graduated with honors. I'm so proud of him. The problem now is he recently got into an extremely prestigious grad program that would open a lot of doors for him. He was hoping for scholarships or a paid internship to cover most of it, but it's not enough. Now he's facing tuition and housing costs in one of the most expensive cities in the country. My parents asked if I could help out and suggested I contribute around $15,000 to get him through the first year. They'd match it, and he'd take loans for the rest. I said no. I've been working for over a decade on my own goals, and I'm just now starting to save for a house. I don't feel comfortable putting that on hold, especially when I had to turn down opportunities because there was no help available to me. During the conversation, my mom got frustrated and said they'd be using my other fund to help him instead. I asked what she meant, and she said they had set aside about $25,000 for me back when I was in college, meant to be used for a future wedding. I was completely blindsided. I had no idea this fund existed. I asked why I wasn't told about it when I was considering grad school, or now, while I'm saving for a home. She said it was always intended for a wedding, not school or property, and since I haven't needed it, I'm not engaged or in a relationship, they decided to give it to my brother because he has a more immediate need. I'm not gonna lie, I was pissed. I never got a chance to make a case for how I could have used that money, and now it's just being handed over to someone else. I told them I felt hurt and left out. My mom said I was being unfair, and that the money was never promised, and if I didn't want it for a wedding, then it made sense to use it for something meaningful. My brother told me he didn't know about the wedding fund either, and he understands why I'd be upset, but said he didn't ask for it. He just wants to go to school and thought we were all trying to support each other. I know my brother worked hard and isn't trying to take anything from me, but I can't help feeling like my parents are punishing me for being practical. Yeah, OP has every right to be upset because, what the fuck? For our daughter, $25,000 if she gets married, but only if she gets married. That money will not help her for anything else. Grad school program for her? No, only wedding. But our son, he can have the wedding fund because he's going to grad school because his sister's too selfish to help out with an additional $15,000 after we hard set the rule that she was on her own after high school and, by the sounds of it, didn't help her with a dime. Like, I can't help but to feel like this is inherently sexist, no? I mean, seriously. The son gets financial assistance for his grad school from the parents with a dollar-for-dollar match. Meanwhile, the daughter only gets it for a wedding. And with no signs of a wedding in sight, that money goes towards the son. Dog, that fucking sucks. There's also a very soft not even soft, it's pretty much just fucking spelled out right there. There's the implication that your mother is punishing you for not forking over $15,000 by revealing the fact of, well, I guess because you're not complying, we'll just use the other fund that was supposed to be for your wedding. OP's being punished for not forking over $15,000 to help out their brother after they were told you're on your own after high school. Definitely not the asshole. Good God. Triple-digit man. Am I the asshole for not letting my neighbor's kid ruin my lawn in the name of imagination? I live in a quiet suburban neighborhood with your standard backyard. Some grass, a few old trees, a weathered shed. Nothing fancy, but I try to keep it tidy. I'm on polite but not close terms with most neighbors. We wave, sometimes chat about weather, and that's about it. There's a family 2 doors down with a boy who's maybe 9 or 10. Lately, he's gone full pirate mode. I mean fully committed. Eye patch, cardboard sword, yelling, "Ye be cursed," at squirrels. Honestly, pretty wholesome. At first. Then I started noticing small holes in my yard, just little ones near the fence. I assumed it was raccoons. But then the holes got bigger. One morning, I went out and found the ground behind my shed completely torn up, with clumps of grass tossed around and a map pinned on the tree with a stick. Eventually, I caught him out there mid-dig. I asked him what he was doing, and he straight up said, "I'm hiding my treasure. No one must know. This is the perfect hiding spot." I told him calmly, "Hey, this is my yard. You can't dig here." He got a little huffy but ran off. I figured that was the end of it. Nope. Next day, there's a hole. Bigger, a tin lunchbox half buried behind the shed. I dig it up, and it's full of Pokemon cards, fake jewels, toy coins, and a few crumpled $5 bills. I bring it to his mom and explain what's going on. She immediately gets defensive. No apology, just a heavy sigh and well, he's just using his imagination. I think it's sweet. I told her I don't mind the creativity, just not in my yard. She rolled her eyes and said, "Can't you just let him have this? It's not like your grass is that nice anyway." That one actually stunned me. I said, as polite as possible, that I didn't want holes being dug on my property by someone else's kid. I handed over the box and left. That night, she sends me a long text telling me I humiliated her son, crushing his imagination and created an environment where children can't feel safe to be children. She said he cried for over an hour and now thinks I'm the villain in his story. Her words. I didn't reply. I get it. He's a kid. I didn't yell, I didn't shame him, and I even gave the stuff back. But I'm not thrilled about my yard being turned into a sandbox and getting insulted for not being okay with it. So, am I the asshole for drawing a line and not entertaining a pirate storyline that involved my yard getting wrecked? I'm gonna say not the asshole. And on top of that, she's also lucky that OP is responding the way that he is. Not asking for financial compensation, not getting extremely aggressive or angry. I mean, hell, can you imagine this kid had done this on like a crotchety old boomer's yard who just absolutely is obsessed with lawn care? This could have gone 1,000 times worse for the child. He's lucky that OP was understanding, just willing to inform him, "Hey, kiddo, don't dig here." Didn't ask the mother for any financial compensation for the damage caused, and also, just in general, only wanted the kid to stop digging up his yard. If I were to tinfoil hat this one, my guess would be is the mother actually probably told the child that, "Oh, this neighbor wouldn't mind if you dug in his yard. Look how messy the grass is anyways." Which is why the comment of, "Well, it's not like your grass is that nice anyway," came up. Like the kid had to have gotten the idea to dig in someone else's yard from somewhere, unless he was just never taught by his parents how to respect someone else's possessions. Anxious Calendar 42-4. Am I the asshole for booking my son an eye exam just to settle an argument? I'm a 40-year-old man, have booked my son, let's say less than 10, a meeting with an eye doctor to settle an argument. Some context. My mother-in-law was once an eye nurse. She worked in the industry for ages, and I am sure for everyone else other than family, her opinion would be valid. However, she is also stubborn, a liar, and one of those people who is never wrong. You can come at her with facts and she'll just, "Oh well, if it was me, blah blah blah." So fast forward to my son. The school did an eye exam and sent him home with a slip saying we should get his eyes checked. So, off to the mall eye place I go and get his eyes tested. They come back with a negative 1.6. They did multiple tests, drops, scans, etc., and a few weeks later, boom, he has glasses. Fast forward a few more weeks and almost everything the mother-in-law takes the kids on, she sneakily ensures my son doesn't have his glasses. She has even said on a few occasions, "Oh, you don't need those." What makes it worse? It bleeds over to my partner. She started getting relaxed with my son's glasses and on occasions has taken him out some mornings without his glasses. I can't help but to shake the feeling that mother-in-law and on some level my partner are hurt that I just acted and got him glasses. For some more context, my other son also has had glasses and has worn them for ages. So, as soon as the other son's diagnosis came in, I just acted as if no big deal. So here I find myself at the position that I want to sit down with my partner and an independent eye doctor and get their view if all this glasses on, glasses off things are hurting his eyes or not. Thoughts? Just some out of context. Negative 1.5 means he's short-sighted and therefore can see his writing, but stuff on the board could be fuzzy. Also, for more context, I wore glasses my whole life and ended up with a negative 7.4 in both eyes before I got them lasered. My oldest also has glasses with a negative 3.4 in both eyes. So I was fortunate enough to grow up with 20/20 vision. I never needed glasses. But there is something about this that the mother-in-law and the partner is doing here that kind of irks me in a way that I just kind of want to talk this out real quick. I feel like that constantly affirming to your child not to wear the glasses or to even seem like off-put by them would lead them to believe that wearing glasses are a bad thing and would leave them in situations where they're not wearing their glasses in a school setting and unable to, as stated, possibly read the whiteboard, as well as additionally having an internal stigma around the idea of even wearing glasses in the first place. It just feels like this is a lot of behavior that could reinforce some pretty negative stuff onto the child. So I'd be really interested for people who have either personal experience or professional experience to just kind of talk about this and share their own personal experiences. The vibe that I get in general though, not the asshole. Posted by user Milk the Algorithm. Oh boy, that can't be an omen. Am I the asshole for making my sister's gender reveal cake gray because she wouldn't tell me the gender? Reddit has deemed this person the asshole. I, 22 male, bake as a hobby. I'm actually pretty good at it, like, I get paid under the table for weddings and baby showers, kinda good. My sister is pregnant and wanted me to make the cake for her gender reveal. Cool, no problem. I asked her to send me the info so I could prep the inside. Classic pink or blue filling. She says, oh no, I want to be surprised too. Just make it neutral for the reveal and we'll all find out together. I was like, huh? So, you want a gender reveal cake with no gender revealed? She says she'll have someone email the info to me later. That someone never did. Deadline comes and I still have no gender, so I make the cake. It's gray inside, gray outside, just full-on cement vibes. I even added little fondant clouds for effect. It still tasted great, but visually, grim as hell. The reveal day comes, they cut into it, and my sister looks pissed. Her husband is confused, people start murmuring. Then she pulls me aside like, why would you make it gray? That's so passive-aggressive. Calmly reminded her that no one told me the gender. I literally had no data to work with. I told her I wasn't about to guess or go full improv on someone's baby cake. Now, my mom says I embarrassed her in front of the family and that I should have tried harder. Tried harder to do what? Summon the gender through vibes? So, am I the asshole for making the most neutral reveal cake in history? Edit, I actually did follow up. Asked her a couple days before the reveal if the info had been sent, and she just said something like, yeah, someone's taking care of it. I figured it was handled. I didn't want to pester her since she seemed chill about it at the time. So I apparently just am entirely unaware of the norms of a gender reveal party because I personally saw nothing wrong with this. Opie was baking a cake for his sister, asked for details, was not given those details, did do a follow-up, was told someone was taking care of it, and they would be emailed the details and never received those details. Was also told to make it neutral colors, which as someone who just very much took neutral colors as an entirely on-the-nose statement, just assumed, oh, neutral, gray. Yeah, that makes sense. But as some gender reveal connoisseurs point out, that was definitely not what she was asking, but I would have been fooled, personally. So with that said, let's take a look at some comments. First one is by user OKCopy8869. Why couldn't you have made it yellow and baby-themed or something? It seems pretty vindictive to make the cake a grim cement vibes for an important event where you'd be serving many more people besides your airheaded sister. I understand you were frustrated, but damn, that's all anyone is going to remember from that event now, which was kinda you're the asshole. Allison375962 comments, yeah, just make a cake with the theme. Baby, vanilla, chocolate, yellow, red velvet, green, purple, elephants, giraffes, balloons, toys, building blocks, a baby's face. Literally the possibilities are endless. There was literally no reason to take a passive-aggressive jab at your sister on her big day. So, what? There was some confusion about whether they wanted the cake to be pink or blue? This is such a massive overreaction to a perceived slight. Grow up. So before we get to the next comment, I personally did not read this as OP purposely doing this as some sort of passive-aggressive stunt, just the fact that he was asked to make a neutral cake. and never received any kind of confirmation of what the gender was, and when directly asked about it, was told, I want to be surprised too. Just make it neutral for the reveal and we'll all find out together. But what are we finding out? I was never told what we were gonna find out. So I feel like projecting that he was doing this on purpose is some kind of passive-aggressive stunt. Maybe I'm just missing the social cues on this one, but I didn't get those vibes at all. Next comment is by Peony Chalk. Everyone sucks here. Your sister shouldn't be asking for a genderless gender reveal cake. Make it neutral and we'll find out together. Like, what's the point of the cake then? Why not just ask you to make a cake that tastes good and is cute/appropriate for a baby shower? Your sister should have made sure you had the info you needed. You, on the other hand, yes, making it all gray was a dick move. People who choose not to find out the gender ahead of time are typically called Team Green. Green would have been a great color if you didn't know the gender. Yellow is neutral too, so is white. Even orange or red would have been better than gray. You did go full improv on someone else's baby cake, and you intentionally made the cake something you knew she wouldn't like. You also could have followed up with your sister to remind her that you didn't have the info you needed, and to run your neutral plan by her first. Not doing those things makes it look like you just wanted to piss her off or embarrass her. If you didn't want to make the cake, because she's not entitled to a cake from you, then you should have just said so. See, this is what I'm talking about. There's like so many rules and like norms with gender reveal parties that like I'm entirely unaware of. I do appreciate this user using the wording of not doing those things make it look like you just wanted to piss her off or embarrass her. They aren't saying that OP obviously wanted to do this, just that their actions had made it appear to be so. I do appreciate this little bit of a distinction compared to the other two comments. And with this explanation, I think I could agree with an everyone sucks here argument. The final comment I want to take a look at, which includes a response from OP, from Practical Primrose. Info, were you paid for your time and ingredients? Edit to add, OP was not paid for time or ingredients. Also, they followed up to ask about the gender a few days before and was brushed off. Not the asshole in my opinion. Sis was pretty demanding, and then all the other stuff, yeah. Gray was a bit harsh, but then be respectful of your family and their donated expertise. Edit to add number 2. This thread is not titled, Would I do the same thing as the OP in a similar situation? It is, Am I the asshole? You could equally go with everyone sucks here and it would be a valid judgment. But if OP is spending his money on ingredients and Sis can't send a simple text message with the details needed to make the free cake, then I'm not sure what to say. Would I have made it gray? No. But do I fault that OP did? Not really. Which OP did in fact respond with, Nope, I wasn't paid. So in the end, where do you stand on this? I definitely, for me personally, am kind of in the not the asshole / everyone sucks here category, just because there are a lot of gender reveal rules that I'm not aware of, and I have no way of knowing if this is OP's very first gender reveal cake and was unaware of any of the norms in question. Because I sure as hell am not, and when he said he made the cake gray, my first thought was, yeah, that checks out. That makes sense for her asking for a neutral tone cake, for a gender reveal that she wasn't giving the gender to OP for. Yeah, that makes sense. But apparently this makes him the spot of Satan, so oh boy. Posted by Hygh Belp. Am I the asshole for reminding my mom's best friend of how awful her daughter is when she criticized me? My family and I celebrated Mother's Day last night by hosting a dinner. My mom's best friend, Holly, joined us because they've been close since childhood. My uncle, aunt, their parents, my cousins, and my grandparents were there. So there was around 16 of us, and the older generations know Holly very well. I'm 30, still living with my parents. Holly began to ask when I planned to move out, and I explained my position and the expected timeline. She laughed, said her daughter, Sophie, purchased a house at 18 while studying and bragged about Sophie's prestigious career. Keep in mind her daughter is in her late 40s and the housing market was very different. She told my mom that she'd be embarrassed if her kids were still at home. It implied that I was a failure and that my job is not that good. Now, Sophie is in jail for a pretty hideous crime. There's been a lot on our local news about the case, and she's currently working towards a shortened sentence and placing blame on the victim of her crime, very publicly through her lawyer. Yes, she had an impressive career up until this happened, but there is no way that she will be rehired after she is released. I looked Holly in the eye and said that while I might not be a fancy career role like her daughter, and I might still live with my parents, at least I didn't crime committed. I told her that I think I know who my mom would prefer to have living under her roof. Holly ended up leaving not long after that, and it was obvious she was in tears. My grandparents are furious that I had the audacity to say this, and my uncle has sent a few strongly worded messages. My aunt and mum are keeping silent, but my cousins are firmly on my side. They're all closer to my age and can empathize with my situation living at home. Too long didn't read, Mom's BFF was rude to me. I reminded her of her own daughter's behavior. This is 100% on Holly here. While her daughter is going through a very, very public legal case on a crime that she committed, she has the audacity to go after someone else's daughter for not living up to par. I almost wonder if she's almost lying to herself and telling her that she's still in the glory days with how successful her daughter was, using her previous accomplishments as almost a buffer for what's currently going on. But that's just a tinfoil hat theory about why she's doing what she's doing. She had it coming. She swung first and she didn't like the response she got. And my guess would be is the reason why a lot of the older members of the family are siding with Holly is because they can empathize with the pain of their child not living up to their standards. Perhaps there's a bit more under the hood when applied to OP than on first glance. But that also applies to why the cousins are able to very quickly come to their defense and understand exactly why they did what they did. OP is definitely not the asshole, and if Holly would have just kept her mouth shut and didn't go after OP for not being a perfect daughter, then she would have had to have left crying. That's just simply what it boils down to. Job. Am I the asshole for telling my wife that working a ton is necessary right now? My wife and I have been married since high school, and we've been married for a few years. After we both graduated from college, I went straight into the workforce. She took a year off due to some serious family issues. Not her fault. We both agreed it was the right move. And once those were resolved, she decided to go back to school to get her master's. I fully support her. She's incredibly smart, and the degree will open a lot of doors in her field. We agreed she would focus entirely on school and not work during this time. As you probably know, the economy has been rough lately, especially in my industry. My company has been hinting at potential layoffs, so for the past several months, I've been picking up extra projects to make myself more valuable. It's been a lot. Long hours, late nights. But I'm trying to protect my job and position myself for a raise if we even get one. I'm also just trying to make sure we have enough money coming in to cover rent, food, and life in general, since I'm currently our only income. Last week, my wife told me she needed to talk. She said she's been feeling increasingly resentful because I'm working so much, and she barely sees me. She said she's lonely, and that it's like I'm not even around. I get where she's coming from. Grad school is stressful and isolating, but I pushed back and said that given our situation, I don't have much choice. One of us needs to make money while the other is in school, and right now, that's on me. I told her it's temporary, and things will get easier once she graduates and starts working. That didn't go over well. She said it's always going to be something. First college, then her family situation, now grad school. And that I need to find a way to balance work and life, or this isn't going to be sustainable for either of us. Since then, things have been tense. We're talking, but it's very chilly. I'm not trying to ignore her or neglect her. I'm just trying to keep us financially afloat. Am I the asshole? This is definitely just one of the situations where life just throws a curveball at you and you have to make tough decisions and tough choices, and there's not really an easy way through it, because it's either you take time off work and risk your financial stability, or keep working and put your wife in a position where she feels isolated and alone. Both feelings and stressors are entirely valid within this story. No one is in the wrong here, in my opinion. This is difficult. This is not an easy thing to get through. My recommendation is on weekends, if you get them, to take the time to do something special with your wife. To take the time and do something as a couple, to make her feel that, hey, just because I'm working more doesn't mean you're any less important to me. Even couples therapy for that matter, because both of you are going through high-stress situations, and sacrifices have to be made. And while your wife's feelings are valid, she also needs to understand that the sacrifices being made aren't optional. They're required to guarantee that you guys have enough money to afford rent next month. And as for the husband, and I understand that while stress is high, do be careful that your responses don't sound dismissive of her feelings, because the last thing that you want is, because of your stress, you come off as dismissive or just simply not really caring about any of the concerns she's bringing forward. that would definitely elevate the chilling factor going on in your relationship right now. In the end, communication is what's important, and make sure that bridge doesn't break down, because the moment communication breaks down, things become messier and messier and messier. JWall0804. Am I the asshole for asking my partner's sister to reimburse our flights after agreeing to babysit her toddler for a week? My partner and I agreed to fly out to watch her 1.5-year-old nephew for a week while his parents go on an international vacation. The trip has been planned for a while, and they asked her if we could stay at their place and take care of him while they're away. We both love the little guy, and we're happy to help. But we're starting to feel a bit weird about how it's playing out. We wouldn't be making this trip if it weren't for the babysitting. We're in saving mode right now and weren't planning to travel. So we assumed, maybe incorrectly, that the parents would offer to cover our flights, since we're using our paid time off and giving up a week to help them out. When my partner brought it up, her sister said she wished she'd known sooner, and that they're broke after paying for the trip. Now there's this underlying tension, like we were out of line for even asking. I've stayed out of the conversation myself. This has been between my partner and her sister. But I'm supporting her, and we're both starting to feel taken for granted. It's not about trying to make money off the situation, but it's hard not to feel a little used when we're doing them a huge favor and covering our own travel just so they can go on vacation. Am I the asshole? So the consensus on this post is that everyone sucks, and after reading some of the reasonings for it, I think I mostly agree with it. From Barbara Millicent. Everyone sucks here. I can't imagine asking my sibling to pay to fly in and take a week of paid time off to watch my kids without any sort of reimbursement or compensation. That's insane. But also, this would have all been avoided if you would have just asked before buying the flights. We'd love to come watch nephew, but money is tight right now. Will you cover the flights? And if they decline, you could have declined to come. You should never expect anyone to cover anything if it isn't stated. It sucks, and I know nobody wants to think that way about their loved ones, but it's how it is. I do feel like this comment hits the nail on the head pretty thoroughly, but I'd be curious to hear what you all think. Hey, welcome to the outro. Don't forget this whole thing is basically brought to you by GamerSupps. If you like caffeine, then I can't recommend GamerSupps enough. Use code Oz at checkout to support the channel. And I do actually use this product. It's replaced all other sources of caffeine for me because I feel good. It doesn't have any of that extra stuff that a pre-workout blend might have. It's with a couple of the extra things to make it so you don't crash as hard. It's good. I like it. Personally, if you really want a good flavor, try the Soda Pressing Pear or even the Dragon Fruit Punch. Those two are my personal favorites right now.